What's up with it, world? It's your boy CBJ. This is my co-host over here,
Coach Rudy.
And you're listening to the Champs Podcast. We are back with another one.
And look, this is the end of the year. We got today and tomorrow.
It's the last podcast of the year, guys.
Yes, sir. 2023 is around the corner. So this is going to be the greatest one of today.
Yeah. So with that being said, we got a lot of stuff we want to cover.
This is the Champs Podcast.
And where do you want to start?
Well, we got to start by tipping our cap to Pele. Now, I don't know how everyone else pronounces his name. I will say, though, as far as I'm aware, he's the greatest soccer player of all time. I know some people say now Ronaldo may be, Messi, things like that. But as far as I'm aware, he is probably the most well-known soccer player in most countries.
Say he's the only one I've ever really knew. So,
like, you don't have to know soccer to know the name Pele.
That's my point. I don't know soccer, and that's the one name that I didn't know.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
So, whether you ever saw the man play or not, whether you saw any clips of him or not, there's a good chance that you heard of his name and you knew that he was considered to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, soccer player of all time. He passed away earlier this week, and at the age of 82. And I just want to say, you can't be a sports show and not at least mention this man and his greatness. So, my condolences to his family. Well wishes. You get to live to be 82. You've lived a full life.
Yeah. All right. Prayers out to his family and survivors, his friends, and all that. And where are we going next?
So there's a lot of things to talk about. I know we're really going to be heavy in football, and I really have to educate some people, and it's sad that I have to educate some former football players and people that have been in the industry a long time. But we're going to get to that. But before we get to that, I do want to mention LeBron. No, just kidding.
Lebanon?
Luka Doncic,
Yeah.
Earlier this week had a phenomenal game, something that has not been seen in the NBA. And look, have there been better games? Yes. Because, you know, those Wilt Chamberlain had a quintuple double, however you want to say it. But anyways, there have been things like that.
Right.
That doesn't change the fact that what Luka Doncic did this past Tuesday wasn't spectacular.
Right.
Dude put up 60 points in an NBA game, which is great in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
But 21 rebounds and 10 assists.
Ooh.
And those stats alone make that an impressive thing. But the fact that he ended up sending the game to overtime when getting fouled with 4.2 seconds left, getting his own rebound on a missed free throw in the air, puts it back with 1 second left to tie the game to send it to overtime. That is what makes that 60-point triple-double
Right.
an awesome thing. If you were lucky enough to see it, then that is just something that you won't soon forget. And those who weren't lucky enough to see it, 10 years from now, they'll remember seeing it. Because that's how it goes. You're like, I remember.
I was sitting on the couch. My grandma was over there. And I was sitting there. I was like, woo, this is a good game. Remember whenever he threw?
Because they will have heard the story of what happened so often that you're going to remember it whether you saw it or not.
You know what? That's funny how that works. There's a few times where, like, I've heard a sports story so much, like, I don't even know if I watched it at this point. I just remember the story of what happened.
But, yeah, so if you don't watch basketball, but you get the chance to watch Luka Doncic at any point, you will not be disappointed because the guy just doesn't look like a physical freak. But then you'll see his handles. the fool is just sick. His handles are sick. When he's dribbling that ball, and
Yeah.
they're like, your body shouldn't allow you to do that because you don't look like it. But so that's kind of what it is.
Has he had an off season? I feel like people don't talk about it as much as they did like a few years ago.
So this past offseason, he was with his national team.
Okay.
And he was balling out there. Now with the national team, he don't generally put up that many points. It was funny. He got a little bit of flack last year because he had made a comment saying that that it's easier to score in the NBA than it is in European basketball.
Okay.
And really what it is the rules lend themselves to the offense over here.
Okay.
And in European basketball, they kind of lend themselves to the defense a little bit, so defense can get away with. It's more of old school basketball.
Yeah.
So with that, he's not wrong in it. It's easy for him to score. Like, he scores at will.
Yeah.
Right now, he's second in the NBA in scoring. Him and who is it? Philly. Joel Embiid.
Okay.
They're going back and forth as far as who's number one, who's number two, leading the league in points.
Since we're on basketball, I'm gonna shift it a little bit. Have you seen any of these clips of Shaq whenever he did Drink Champs? And he
Can't
talks.
say that I have.
So he was on Drink Champs a little while back, and he was saying how he has an answer for like WNBA viewership. He says they're missing the dunk. He says if they could get the dunk in there, he was like, so my answer to doing that is like just to lower the rim just a little bit. He was like, I'm not saying you got to lower it like stupid amounts of lower, just slightly. He was like, 2 or 3 inches just to get allow the ones that are touching the rim to be able to actually dunk it, and that would help the viewership. I just wanted to ask you if you thought that would actually help.
I don't see how it would hurt.
Yeah, I was saying, like, you know what? If you did, especially if they didn't tell you, like, they just made it one of the rules that they changed, and then just kind of, like, like every football season, we get a bunch of new rules. Like, they just tweak some shit that's already there, and you just kind of sweep it under the rug as something that you don't even think about until it actually comes into a play.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be a thing that they start seeing people dunking, like, oh, shit, you see what they're doing? But I want to know about that, and then, let's see, there was something else.
I mean, honestly, I think if they promoted better,
Yeah.
like if they had, let's say, some of the WNBA stars more visible in NBA games,
Yeah.
and if they paid some of the NBA players to, I don't know, maybe be commentators during the WNBA games or to have interviews. You know how they have special guest commentators in some of the sporting events?
Yeah.
And so they'll be on there for 5 minutes of the game or whatever. If you did some things like that,
Yeah.
then I think more people would tune in because they'd be like, oh, I want to hear what Steph Curry has to say during this game, shit like that.
And another thing, I think advertisement would help a lot because a lot of people I don't think don't necessarily not support it. They just don't know when the games are. They don't know who's playing what. And if you're not putting the money into letting them be known, I think it makes it hard for people to like want to tune in to something they don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, look, honestly, imagine on TV,
Yeah.
you got the Lakers playing the Knicks, right?
Yeah.
After that, instead of going straight to an NBA game,
Yeah.
you got a WNBA game.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Then you go back to NBA
Matter of
game.
fact, that's perfect because that's how they do the UFC fighters, or they do like even in boxing, like, oh, we're gonna switch over to the women's boxing championship in the middle whenever they're still trying to let their stadium fill up, and you start getting familiar with those fighters. So yeah, that's a good idea too.
Yeah, I mean, so you do that, and you don't do it necessarily in every game, but on Sundays,
Yeah.
you do that shit. You got the WNBA game in between, sandwiched between those other two, and
You're welcome, NBA. We just gave you some free information right there.
I mean, but that's the truth of it. You
Yeah.
have to be willing to do something like that.
Yeah. There was another one I was going to talk about, but I forgot what it was. So we can move on to whatever else you got.
All right, so let's see. Right now, hockey, nah. We can talk about baseball, but there's no point to it. So let's get into football, man.
Football news. Dun 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 dun.
No shit.
Completely not scripted. That just so happened to be synchronicity right there, buddy.
That's funny. All right, so look, I mentioned that there's some people that don't realize some stuff, right?
Yeah.
So at first, when I was hearing people talk about it, it made me very annoyed and made me want to call them stupid. Because the question that was being discussed on sports radio here in Dallas was, why do the Cowboys coaches keep insisting on running the ball on first downs when we're not getting any traction from it, and keep telling people that it really sets up the play action pass when all stats say otherwise?
Right.
So that was a question. It was annoying to me because, like, come on, you guys have to know better than this. But then I realized, okay, they don't. And this is what they miss on it.
Okay.
All right. If I'm the coach of the Cowboys, right? And you ask me, why do you insist on running the ball even when it's not working? Do you really want me to be on air saying, well, look, we don't want to throw the ball over 40 times very often because we think it's really going to fuck up the team.
Right.
We need to run the ball, whether it's working or not, to keep balance so we're not throwing more picks that are unnecessary, so we're not keeping our defense out there more that is unnecessary, and so that way they can have some time to rest.
Yeah.
Because if I say that, you're going to be like, well, that's stupid because shouldn't your offense be flowing more if it... Well, look, the reality is, though, if I throw it... Okay, I throw the ball on first down, right?
Yep.
Let's say it's an incompletion.
Okay.
The clock stops, right?
Yep.
Okay, now I'm at 2nd and 10.
Yeah.
Why the fuck am I going to run the ball on 2nd and 10? Because the best case scenario, generally speaking, is I get 3 or 4 yards and I'm still at 3rd and 6. And now I fucking have to pass, right? Or if the other team sees, oh shit, they're running on 2nd down, this is their trend because they made an incomplete pass, so they're going to run on 2nd down. Let's load up the box, stop the run, and then 3rd down, it's now 3rd and 10.
Right.
This is why you run on first. Hear me out. First down. If you stop me on first down and I only get 1 yard or even 0 yards, right?
Yeah.
The clock is running, right? So my defense doesn't have to be out there as long because the clock is rolling down, right? But also, now listen here. If I run on first down and I don't get shit, I got 2 more downs to get 10 yards.
Right.
If I run on 2nd down and don't get shit, well, hell, I'm really looking at just having to punt.
Right.
If I run on first down, cool, I got 4 yards. Now I'm at 3rd and 6, and I can run a pass play or a run play to get me close to that first down. I got 2 freaking plays to do it. And as a coach, when you ask me that, I really don't feel like calling you stupid, so I'm going to repeat tired old-fashioned lines that say, look, we're trying to set up the play action, and that's just what we do, because I don't want to call you stupid.
Right. You know, I was talking to my stepdad over the weekend about this, and I was saying how it's the same as boxing, the sweet science of boxing. You know, a lot of people don't like when you're watching boxing whenever they're working the body because you're working the body and it doesn't look as flashy as it is trying to swing at someone's head or something like that. But the sweet science of that is after, 6, 7, 8 rounds of working the body, it's inevitable. You're going to start blocking your body, and then it leaves your head open and allowing me to go for those more dangerous hits. Or I work your body so much to the point of now you have to stop because you can't run anymore. You can't do anything other than feel that pain. The same thing with the run game. Yeah, at first you might stop them quite a bit. And I mean, I'm for all four. Like, you know what? Yeah, we run the first 2 plays, and if it doesn't do anything, like let's get a first down, extend it if you can. If you can, we know that is a hard thing to do, to put a lot of pressure to be 10 yards back and trying to get a first down on a 3rd and down or something like that. But hopefully, at very least, if your running back can at least get 2 yards on those 2 runs that you did, you're 3rd and 6?
Manageable.
Yeah. It's a short pass. Maybe your quarterback gets out of the pocket, runs and gets those 5-6 yards that you need, and it's doable. Hopefully, most of the time, if you have a good running back, you're going to get a few yards. You're not going to just get stopped completely. It happens.
But even if you are getting stopped and you're only getting 2 yards a carry, right?
Yeah.
Then that's fine because now you're looking at 3rd and 8 or 2nd and 8, and you got 2 downs with which to try to get your first.
Right.
If I'm passing on first down.
Yeah.
First off, let's look at the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
In the last several years, what's been known on Dak is this simple fact. If he throws over 40 times in a game,
yeah,
his win rate is not nearly as high as when he throws less than 40 times in a game.
Right.
And if right now he's already flirting with 33 to 41 passes a game.
Yeah.
And that's when you're fucking being balanced with your run game.
Right.
Now let's take away some of those rushes on first down and give it to the pass.
Right.
Guess what? His passing plays are going to hover closer to 45 to 50 times a game.
Right.
And we know that the success for the Cowboys comes by having a more balanced run. Now, if your question is, well, why don't we get better run plays? Totally legit.
Yeah.
But if your question is, why are you running it on first down? Well, that's why I want to call it stupid. But it may just be uninformed. You may just not have thought of it. So let's just say you haven't thought of the fact that it actually makes an impact on the game.
Yeah.
It actually keeps your defense from being as tired because the other team doesn't have as much time on the clock. They have to rush themselves a little bit because 25 seconds off from this one, we converted a first down. That's an additional 25 seconds. So that's a minute that we just chewed up in clock time that my defense doesn't have to be on there from just 2 first downs, whether we punt or not.
Right.
That's just off of 2 run plays.
Yeah.
So that's as far as that goes. So without me calling you stupid, and I know that by me saying that so many times you think, you just call me stupid. No, I'm serious when I say it. I'm legitimately not trying to call you stupid. For those who didn't know, because honestly, you may just not have thought of it.
Right.
And unless you've really been coaching it or know the intricacies of football that much, you may just not have been aware of it, which is legit.
Right.
Because why are you going to know that much about something that you're not going to be invested in?
Right.
I'm invested in the sport. I always have been.
Yes, definitely.
So that's as far as that goes.
Okay.
Now we can get to the people I actually want to call stupid. Bart Scott, you're stupid. Skip Bayless, you're very stupid. Well, Bart Scott, you're just as stupid as Skip Bayless. Yeah. So I want to call them stupid.
All right. Is there a reason why you were targeting them?
Yeah, because they're stupid.
Okay.
So Bart Scott, Chris Canty, you're also coming off stupid. I'm not going to flat out call you stupid for a simple fact that you're not on camera enough and haven't said enough things for me to definitively know if you're stupid. I can say this much. You had some bad takes today.
Okay.
When I heard what you were saying about the Cowboys post Titans game, you had some bad takes. Now, when I hear what Bart Scott says and when I hear what Skip Bayless says, they're flat out stupid. They have a long history of saying stupid things, so I can legitimately say they're stupid.
Okay.
Chris Canty, you had some bad takes. If you continue with these bad takes, I'll call you stupid. And if you think that just because you're in shape and you're not like those guys and old and not as withered or whatever. No. I got no fear of you. So if you decide to be like some of the other idiots and try to call me out for saying that you have bad takes, and have at it. But let me first address the stupid people, then I'll address Chris Canty. So Bart Scott and Skip Bayless were both on TV today, pretty much saying that this win by the Cowboys, not only was it not impressive, okay, you don't have to be impressed, but might as well have been a loss. That it was something that didn't show anybody anything.
Yeah.
And it was an embarrassment of the Cowboys.
Yes.
Essentially. That's what they said. I know one of them flat out said it and the other one pretty much alluded to it. That's why they're stupid. Because the Cowboys went out on national TV, won a game by 14 points.
Yeah.
Vegas had them favored by 13. They won the game by 14. And they're criticized for not winning it by more points.
Right.
95% of NFL games are won by one score.
Okay.
And you are upset that the Cowboys didn't win by more than 14. The Cowboys threw 2 interceptions, won by 14, and you criticize them for that. And that's just stupid.
You know what's funny is we talk about how people count against the Cowboys and they try and use like fake
Outrage.
No, not fake outrage. They use false
Narratives.
False narratives. They use false statistics. You know, with the they could have lost this game had that interception been a pick six and whatever. The qualifiers. They make qualifiers that.
Gotcha.
It's funny because we were talking off air and we were like, I just don't understand the math to it. And me and the wife were having a conversation and we were talking about how we learned math. And she was talking about how she was helping her little cousin learn how to do math.
Uh-huh.
And her little cousin got mad because that wasn't the same way that his teacher had taught him how to do math. And then we were just talking about how learning how to do math. And it's like, yeah, I'm not doing this new age fucking math where you do this and then you do that and you do it like this because I'm from the old school. I learned how to do it like this. And it made me think about our conversations whenever people talk about the Cowboys, about how like they almost lost, you know, or they're not that good of a team if you just do it like this. So the answer to your question on how they're coming up with their answers is they use that new math bullshit. They're not using the old school, you know, start by counting by fives with your fingers or type shit. Like they're actually sitting here just doing really bad math with a way of doing math. That's it.
So, okay, full discretion. I said 95% of the games, right?
Yeah.
I just kind of came up with that number because I know it's the majority of them, and I really don't know what the exact percentage is. But and I wanted to do that for this reason.
Okay.
I said that, and I came out and I said I was BSing, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what you should do.
Yeah.
When you're just saying something without actually having...
When you're grabbing shit just to grab it.
And these guys, the Skip Baylesses, the Chris Cantys, the Bart Scotts, too often you're out there saying, the Cowboys are this, the Cowboys are that, and that's why they suck, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And you throw out these bullet points, these stats that just aren't true, these false narratives, and you say, oh, they're not really the third best team. Just look at their record. The 49ers are better. Well, no, they're not. Cowboys have more wins than them, same amount of losses.
Right.
Well, they played one more game. Yeah, that means that the Niners could lose. They probably won't. Okay, that's fine. They probably won't. But it still means that they'd have the same record.
Right.
So they would still have the third best record. But somebody was saying that the Cowboys penalties. The Cowboys are third.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that.
The third worst team in penalties.
Right.
Well, that was a while ago because the last couple of games they hardly got any penalties. So right now, the Dallas Cowboys, on average, have 5.9 penalties a game.
Okay.
Which isn't necessarily good,
Right.
But it's not the worst. It's not the second worst. Not the third worst. I can tell you some teams right now that average more penalties, and this is without looking at the whole list. Buffalo Bills, they average 6 penalties a game, which is just slightly more than Cowboys. Miami averages 6.5. Washington 6.3. Giants 6.5. We have Tennessee 6.3. Got the Patriots at 6.4. Got Detroit at 6.3. Now, all of that to say is, well, yeah, that's barely higher than Dallas. Well, that's true. That is true. But when we look at what other teams have, you can look at Minnesota. They average 4.9 penalties a game, which is one fewer penalty than the Cowboys. You got Philadelphia, who averages 5.2 penalties a game. 5.2 versus 5.9. That's a negligible difference. So if you're trying to sit there and say that the Cowboys are definitely going to shoot themselves in the foot because they average so many more penalties than everybody else, then you're stupid. Because their biggest competitor in the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles, averages 5.2 penalties a game, which is 0.7 difference. That's less than one penalty difference per game. Kansas City, who many people consider the best team in football, 5.1 penalties a game. Once again, less than one penalty a game difference.
We're not going to talk about Kansas City, okay? We're going to talk about all them other teams, but you're going to keep Kansas City out your mouth.
All right, so let's go to this 49ers team, right? The 49ers team that so many people are in love with right now.
Yeah.
5.5 penalties a game. Dallas averages 5.9 penalties a game, and that's what's going to do them in.
Yeah.
5.5, 5.9, 5.2. Philly, Dallas, and San Fran. But Dallas's penalties are the ones that are going to be the reason why they lose.
Right.
We're going to go ahead and ignore that they virtually get the same amount of penalties.
Well, that goes back to the new math. You're trying to use like 80s math, and they're using like 2020 math.
So look, a couple weeks ago, I was putting a bunch of stats together. Sorry, Mo's playing with a toy right now. If you're hearing some squeaking,
it's your squeaky ass voice. It's not the dog.
And it was, and I was looking at the turnovers versus giveaways versus takeaways, and I talked about it a little bit last podcast. Philadelphia gets the ball one more time per game than they give it up, right?
Yeah.
Dallas has 32 takeaways this year, giving the ball up 21 times. You know what that means?
What's that?
That they take a ball away more than they give it away. So even if they're giving it away once a game or 1.5 times a game, they're still taking it away more.
Right.
So they're getting the ball back twice, and they're giving it up 1.5. So are they losing possessions? No. They're kind of gaining it. So you got these guys on there, these Bart Scotts, these Chris Cantys, these freaking Skip Baylesses, saying, well, the Cowboys are going to shoot themselves in the foot in the playoffs because against good teams, you can't give the ball up and still win. Right. Well, quite frankly, the Cowboys against teams that are 500 this season,
yeah,
like as of right now, they're 7-1 against teams that have a 500 record or better. 7-1.
So what does that mean?
That they are the absolute best against teams who have winning records.
Right.
When you look at the other teams, the other quote-unquote elite teams, you see 3-1, 3-2, 2-2. You don't see 7-1.
Right.
Quite frankly, you don't see them facing that many. Who was it? Bart Scott was trying to say, well, the Cowboys haven't faced anybody. Bull. Yeah. You can't go up against 8 teams who have winning records and say they haven't faced anybody.
Yeah.
You beat the team with the second best record in the conference by a score of 40-3 in their home. When Dallas did that to Minnesota, that was impressive. Then you go to Philly and you put up 40 points against them.
Right.
So you did that. You put up 40 against the number 1 and number 2 teams in the NFC. And you're trying to tell me that someone's not going to be able to do that to San Francisco when San Francisco started its little run of wins after getting the brakes beat off of them by Kansas City.
Right.
Kansas City put up over 40 points. I think it was like 43, 44 points against them. And it wasn't even a ball game. Like, they just beat the brakes out of them. And you're trying to tell me that the Cowboys offense couldn't do that? When the Cowboys offense has put up more 40-point games this year than any team in the NFL, including Kansas City, including Philadelphia, including Minnesota. These narratives that these idiots put out there. Look, you want to say that you don't trust the team? Cool, say that. But don't stand there and make definitive statements of why they're not going to be successful by ignoring the fact that Dallas isn't the only team that turns the ball over.
Right.
And that Dallas actually takes the ball away far more than anybody else.
Right.
It's just stupid.
You know, we were talking off air. We were saying how if you want to talk about the team, you want to pick them apart, you want to say CD doesn't catch the ball as well as some other players in the league. Okay, you want to say the accuracy of Dak is a problem. All right, that's fine. Defense, these players, they're not hitting the way we would like to see them. These
are a lot of injuries.
Yeah. Those are arguments that we would say, okay, that makes sense. I understand that. You don't like the coach. The coach makes bad calls. Again, I could see those arguments.
1,000%.
But when you just want to say something that's not real, it's not a real thing, that's the part that gets me. Like, I hate when I have to defend the team that I've decided to walk away from as a fan to tell them how they're still a good team. Like, no, Dax, he's garbage. He needs to go away. We need another quarterback. Why? He's still winning. He still has winning record for the team. Like
27-6 against the NFC East. Okay,
yeah.
Career-wise, 27-6.
Right.
And people are saying that the Cowboys have no chance against Philadelphia in the playoffs.
Yeah.
27-6 against the NFC East all time.
Right.
But he has no chance against Philadelphia. He just put up 40 points against Philadelphia in Philadelphia.
Right.
And he has no chance against them.
Well, that was against their B team. That wasn't their A team.
Oh, well, that was the thing, too. Yesterday, the idea was put out there because Tennessee sat several players, right?
Yeah.
Because of that, the thought was, well, this is not the real Tennessee Titans team. This is their B team. This is their C team, whatever, right? Here's the reality of it. There's 53 men on an NFL roster. Okay?
Yeah.
It is impossible for you to sit all 22 starters. So you want to sit there and tell me this is their B team?
Yeah.
Tell me what happened to 22 players. Because you're literally telling me that you would put in your second string.
Right.
You don't have that many second string players. You sat like 5 players. One player who's out for the season, so that wasn't really you sitting him. Dude's just out. Right. So he's done. You lost your quarterback, so whoever your second quarterback is, that's your number one.
Right.
So it's not like you chose to put somebody else in or anything like that. Nobody felt bad for Dallas when Cooper Rush went in. You still had to win.
Right.
So when you sit there and say, oh, but you beat their B team, BS. When you sit there and say that against Philadelphia, no. It was their backup quarterback who has been a starter.
Right.
Who actually is one of the better backup quarterbacks to have.
Yeah.
In Gardner Minshew.
We listed several other quarterbacks that you pretty much have a cheat code when you have those quarterbacks.
Yeah, so it's disingenuous what is said. Now I'm going to go a step further. Dallas obviously has received a lot of criticism for their run game.
Yeah.
Run defense, right? So since the Green Bay game, right? Since the Green Bay game.
Yeah.
They've played, 7 games? Something like that.
Okay.
Those games since the Green Bay game, you haven't looked this up, I don't think. How many times do you think the Cowboys have outrushed their opponents out of 7 games since the Green Bay game?
3.
In every game but one, the Cowboys have outrushed their opponents.
Wow.
Since the Green Bay game. Now, have they always put up a great amount of rushing yards? No. Including yesterday's game. I think it was like 87 yards to 71.
Right.
You know, that was a bad rushing day for Dallas and bad rushing day for Tennessee.
Right.
But you put up more rushing yards than your opponent. In all those games but one, you outrushed your opponent.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting there talking about Dallas hasn't figured out how to outrush their opponents, Dallas hasn't figured out how to stop the run against Daquan Cook,
right?
Against Saquon Barkley, against Jonathan Taylor, right? Against all these guys, against Miles Sanders, Dallas has outrushed those teams.
Right.
And you're sitting there saying Dallas hasn't figured out how to stop the rush. Now, here's the problem. Dallas sold out to make sure that they stopped the rush. Or at least outrush those guys, right?
Right.
So they've been lacking a little bit on the secondary scene. Just pick your poison, you know?
Definitely pick your poison.
But either way, they accomplished their goal. I think this is a good thing Because I think this proves to themselves
Yeah.
that come playoff time, if they decide against this team we need to stop the run, they can stop the run. If they figure out against this team we need to stop the pass, they can stop the pass.
Right.
I don't think that they have to worry about San Francisco running all over them. San Francisco don't really have a run game.
No.
So against San Francisco, if they say, hey, we're going to sell out, stop the pass, and they don't even got to worry about their star receiver, right?
Right.
Because he's out. How long is he out for? Is he out for the year?
I'm not sure. I don't want to say yeah. I'm not sure.
But I know he's been out a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I know he's still injured. So when you look at who they'll have to face, they've already proven that against Philly, they can shut down as far as their wideout. Now, that was earlier in the year. They didn't do it this last time. This last time, Philly receivers went off.
Right.
But you still beat them.
Yeah.
You still put up 40 points against that defense. So, when I look at what the Cowboys actually are,
Yeah.
they are a legitimate team who is poised and positioned to make a deep playoff run.
100%.
Now, will they? That's a whole other argument.
100%.
Will they versus can they? The questions posed on these Fox Sports Southwest, on these ESPNs, is always can they? Can they?
Right.
And the part that I don't like is these guys take these positions that no, they can't, which is just ignorant because the truth is, yes, they can. Will they? Probably not. Say that. That's fine. Or I don't believe that they will because I believe in X team more or Y team more, whatever. But
So you asked me a couple weeks ago
I ask a lot of shit.
what I thought of the team and how it was going to end out.
Yeah.
And my response to you was, it's not that I don't think the team has the ability to go further and go beyond. But for the team to get up and help them with it, that's where I see the problem. Like, I see the problem more with the coaching. I told you that when you asked. I was like, I don't know if he's going to make a bad call, if he's going to cave to pressure, what the case is. But it's the coaching that comes into question for me more so than the players themselves.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We never trusted the coaches.
Yeah.
Still don't. I like our defense coordinator. I trust him.
Yeah.
I don't trust Moore, and I don't trust McCarthy.
As you should.
So I'm not going to go out here and tell you to bet the farm on the Cowboys.
Right.
But when you're answering the question, can they versus will they, you're disingenuous when you say no, they can't.
Right.
Now, say, I don't think that they will because X, Y, and Z. Semantics matter. You sound stupid whenever you say they can't.
Right.
And they're doing everything that a lot of other teams aren't. But that's my take on them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you hear any of Skip today?
Honestly, the only thing I heard Skip talk about was T.O. I didn't watch the clip of the one that I sent you the screenshot of.
Yeah.
Mostly because I didn't feel like I needed to hear it. Like, that's what people are echoing.
You know what he's gonna say.
We're echoing the same thing. Everyone's not really putting any think tank on. They're just like, you know what? So-and-so said this. It sounds like a good headline. I'm going to keep that same energy. I don't even got to read what they're saying or how they said it. I'm just going to say my part on why I think so. So I was more intrigued in the idea that they wanted even I don't even know why I was in the media, but T.O. wanting to come back, and then I was intrigued in not Kansas City, the Broncos cutting their their head coach. These are things that I was more interested in than listening to people bash a team that, as me and you have said all season, is the real deal. It just comes down to the coaching and how they're wanting to operate the team.
So there was 8 players held out yesterday's game.
Okay.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah.
But that's not 22.
No.
It's not 11.
No.
It's not 11. It's not 22.
Right.
And out of those 8 players, I'm going to tell you, 4 of them probably had to be held out.
Wow.
It wasn't even, should we hold them out? They had to be. When you tell me that the Cowboys were going up against their B team, let me put it out there. Do we have our starting corner, Anthony Brown? No, he's done, right?
Yeah.
He's done for the season. Do we have our starting right tackle, Steele? No, he's done, right? Do we have our nickel corner in Jordan Lewis? No, he's done, right?
Right.
That's 3 players right there. Did we have Leighton Vander Esch, our starting linebacker?
Yeah.
No, he was out too. Those 4 guys.
Yeah.
4 starters for the Cowboys right there. Then in the middle of the game, you lose your center. Right? So that's 2/5 of your
I've been
offensive
sitting
line.
this whole time. I don't know what you're talking about.
So that's 2/5 of your line. 5 of your starters.
Yeah.
And that's not even me. I think you're missing one of your safeties too.
I believe so too.
So that's 6. 6 versus 8. Oh no, you're playing that B team.
Yeah.
Fuck that. You ain't even paying attention to the fact that the Cowboys are missing the same amount of players.
Or the
You
fact-
had Pollard out.
Yeah.
So you add Pollard to those 6 guys. That's 7 guys. So 7 versus 8. Ooh. Big deal. But no one cares about that, right?
Right.
That's the thing. You should have beat them. I can't believe you only beat them by 14. When the hell do you say that about an NFL team?
When they're talking about the Cowboys.
You should have beat them by worse than 14 points. I forget who I heard say the Cowboys barely won.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was just ESPN. It wasn't even one of their hot take people.
Right.
They're like, yeah, the Cowboys barely won by 14. Shit, man. Barely won by 14. Okay.
Well,
Never heard that about any other team.
yeah. The way I look at it is you win, and when you win, it's a win. Many times we see this happen before, where when it's someone else,
D tackle,
yeah.
the guy that we got. Remember that we traded for,
yeah,
Hankins.
yeah,
He's out too. So 8 versus 8 starters.
okay, yeah. Again, all I got to say about this is whether you're winning by 1 point, 3 points, 4 points, 14 points, whatever, a win is a win. Fuck it, you won. Nobody said shit whenever Green Bay had the call overturned for the no catch fucking season. No one batted an eye. Everyone's like, yeah, fuck it, I guess we'll fight that off in the offseason, like, instead of sitting there fighting it at that time. You have a team of young players that are out here playing very well, setting records for themselves, setting records for the team that they play for, and you want to say that they're not worthy, that they're not going to win. Even now, I would be on this full-on bandwagon saying Cowboys going to the Super Bowl. I really don't know. I hope that the shoes that I got are going to get me there. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, we're going to get to this one way or another. I'm not trying to discount them just because you think they should have won more impressively.
Yeah. Look, I got to go back to some simple things. And I always go back to this. In 1992, the Dallas Cowboys were the best team in football. They ended up crushing Buffalo in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that same season, they lost to the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah.
And the Rams that season were the worst team in football. I think they had 3 wins that season, something like that, maybe 4.
Yeah.
They were by far the worst team. They were by far the worst team of the decade.
Yeah.
And they beat the Cowboys. This season, the Dallas Cowboys had to come back to beat the Houston Texans with 2 minutes to go in the game, right?
Okay.
98-yard drive, and the Dak did it. They won that game, touchdown at the end. That very following week, Houston plays Kansas City.
Yeah.
Goes to overtime.
Yeah.
Kansas City wins in overtime.
Yep.
No one bats an eye about it.
No one said shit about that, did they?
Not a damn word.
Except for me. And remember, I called and I was like, what if this is how the season plays out? The one team that gave the 2 teams that go on to the Super Bowl and play is the Texans. What does that say for that team?
They're well coached.
It means that they have a real shot. If you can be the only team to actually give the 2 teams that go on to the Super Bowl, which honestly could be anybody's game.
It is.
If we fast forward, let's say this is a few weeks ahead now, and the 2 teams in the Super Bowl come down to the Cowboys in Kansas City, what does one team have over the other?
Exactly.
I mean, you're going to say, well, Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the league, going against Dak Prescott. So you're going to say Dak Prescott's the less quarterback. I won't even argue with that. You're right. But you know what the Cowboys have that Kansas City doesn't have?
C.D. Lamb, Michael Parsons.
I'm not even going to say that. I'm going to say the Cowboys have a really good defense.
Yeah, that too.
They have a really good defense. If you want to take away, because Patrick Mahomes is we're gonna, as a collective, we're gonna say Patrick Mahomes is gonna make Kelsey look better. He's gonna make all of his receivers, Valdez, Scantling, whoever he has.
They
that's
have a
playing,
solid ass group of receivers.
Yeah, you're gonna make them look better because of Patrick Mahomes being who Patrick Mahomes is. Then none of them are slumps. They're not. But you're like, we could really argue, you know what, this is a wash. Because even if you're going to say, we're not as good on the offense as the Cowboys team, but the defense is going to make up for what the offense doesn't have. Kansas City can't do that.
No, not at all.
Kansas City has an okay defense, and that's a stretch of a okay defense. Honestly, they just have firepower.
All right, so let's say this. 2 weeks ago, I was doing the numbers on offense and defense, so I haven't updated it, right?
Yeah.
Dallas, 2 weeks ago, defense ranked 5th in the NFL.
Okay.
The defense points allowed, a couple weeks ago, was 3rd in the NFL.
Okay.
Might be a little bit different now, right? They gave up a few points or whatever.
Okay.
Kansas City,
Yeah.
15th ranked and 19th ranked.
See?
So when you look to see what their best is,
Yeah.
Dallas is far better than
Right.
Kansas City's best at defense.
And
Here's the thing, though. So that's defense, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at the offense, so
before you go, because I know you're going to actually seal the deal on what I'm going to say, I was like, even still, you want to say that Dak isn't the same quarterback, but Dak's still throwing the ball enough, getting high enough scores to keep them
better
in the game.
completion percentage.
Go for it.
So offensive rank.
Yeah.
Now keep in mind Dak missed 5 games, right?
Yeah.
For the season, Dallas ranks 8th offensively, and you know that goes by yards per game or whatever, right?
Right.
Kansas City's first, right?
Yeah.
Points.
Okay.
Kansas City 2nd overall. Dallas 3rd overall.
Okay.
Overall points.
Okay.
Dallas has 461 points scored this season.
Okay.
Kansas City 438. Now one fewer game.
Yeah.
But do you see that? What's exactly what you're saying.
Exactly
Dallas offense can go toe to toe with
Right.
anybody else's,
Yep.
and like I said, they've scored more 40-point games than anybody.
And
And
it goes back to what
their
I said.
defense can go toe to toe with anybody too.
And it goes back to what I said earlier, where I said my question is not for the team. It's not for the players. It comes down to the coaches. Is Kellen Moore going to call the right offensive plays to seal a deal? Is McCarthy deciding to fucking kick the ball or go for it going to be the call? Because that's what I think it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to that one fucking...
when he decides to go for a fucking field goal when they should have went for the touchdown, or vice versa.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, coaching decisions.
Yeah.
Like shit, he's the one that put Dak in such a bad position in the playoffs last year.
Yep.
Not letting him know, okay, as soon as we get there, this is what we're doing. This is what we have to do. This is how we have to clock it, whatever. All of that shit.
Yeah.
That went to coaching. Because Dak was looking around like, look, what do you want me to do,
Right.
And that wasn't because Dak isn't fucking smart. That's because, hey, what's our game plan?
I think we've mentioned, I don't know if we mentioned it on the podcast, but I know we've mentioned how the thing about Dak is he's not so much I took it in my own hands to do what I thought was the right play.
We've mentioned it before.
And that's why it comes down to coaching. You're not going to have, like, Dak just isn't that player that's going to say, you know what, the coach called this play, so that's what I'm going to go for. Like, he's not going to say, you know what, we're going to switch this up, we're going to go for a bootleg, or we're going to go ahead and do, like, he very rarely takes it by the handle and say, you know what, I know better.
I'm doing me. He trusts his coaches.
Yeah. He's not Aaron Rodgers where he's like, you know what, fuck that shit. You're not calling the plays that I know that are going to work. I'm going to, do this. Yeah. Not that Aaron Rodgers is doing that very much lately, but I'm just saying in general.
So what do you think about that? Do you think all this hype about people saying that Green Bay is actually going to make the playoffs, do you think that it's legit? I mean, honestly, they're so far on the outside looking in. They need too much for it to happen for me to think that they're legitimately going to do it.
I will say this, because it is Aaron Rodgers, and they're playing dangerous now. This is the game playing that we talked about a few weeks ago. The desperate, we're gonna get here one way or another. I can't count them out. Like, I can't say that I feel comfortable saying that they're gonna come back and do exactly what everyone's.
They got a puncher's chance of getting in.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the right losses for other people mixed in with them winning, it changes the game.
Well, I mean, I think realistically, if they lose this week against Carolina, they're done. I think, mathematically.
Yeah.
But I mean, not Carolina, against Minnesota. They got Minnesota, but Carolina's got Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So same thing. I think for that one, Tampa, I think could still win even if Carolina beats them.
Yeah.
But Carolina needs to beat them and then win next week. Honestly.
Yeah.
So check me out. Whether or not Philadelphia holds on to the number 1 overall seed,
yeah,
or Dallas somehow wins the division,
yeah,
somehow meaning very simple, they win last game and Philly loses these next 2.
Yeah.
Neither of these teams is in a bad spot.
Okay.
Simply speaking, because whoever is in the 5th spot is going to play the NFC South.
Okay.
So you're not going to go to a cold weather city.
Right.
You're going to go to Carolina or Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Maybe New Orleans. And you're going to play against a quarterback that's playing poorly, whether you're talking about Tom Brady, whoever the fuck is playing for New Orleans at the time, or whoever's playing for Carolina, which is Sam Darnold right now.
Yeah.
But no matter what, you're going to have the edge in quarterback.
Yeah.
You're going to have the edge in team. So you're probably the same as if you had a bye week.
Yeah.
So Dallas or Philly are going to end up with that 5th seed.
Yeah.
So even if you are Philly and you lose these next 2 games, it's
Yeah.
not like you're thinking, "Oh, we can't make it to the second round." No, no, no. You are.
Right.
Just like Dallas. Dallas, no matter who they play in that first round, if they hold on and stay at the 5th seed because
Yeah.
Philly wins one of their last 2 games,
Yeah.
they're fine. Now, the difference is, obviously the second round you're not hosting if you're Philly,
Yeah.
and if you're Dallas, if you win the division, you're going to be hosting a game, right?
Yeah.
But I will say this. If you're Dallas, unless you get home field advantage, you're
Yeah.
probably better off being the 5th seed
Yeah.
because that opponent, the NFC South, is going to be easier than
Yeah.
if you have to go up against Washington or Giants for the 3rd time.
Yeah.
Because those are more likely the 2 teams that you would face if you were.
Yeah.
win.
I'd rather them continue to have to fight it out to get there, personally.
Dallas?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're going to face Washington last week.
Okay.
So you're going to play them either
Yeah.
way. But I'm just saying, I think no matter, both these teams are in a good spot.
Yeah. I want to switch back to quarterbacks real quick before we round
Well, we got
things
to
up.
talk about Denver.
Fuck. Okay. Well, let's touch on the Denver. This will transition to Denver pretty good. So, did you hear about Derek Carr?
Yes.
A lot of stuff happened that made me think about this. But so, Derek Carr sitting out.
Hold on. Before we get into Derek Carr, for real.
Yeah.
About 15 minutes ago, I got a notification on my phone. Barbara Walters has passed away.
Damn. Legend in media.
Yeah.
RIP to her and her, prayers to her family for that. That's crazy.
Another long life, 92, 93 years. Barbara Walters. I remember watching her on 2020 all the time.
How many 2020s we watched, right?
I loved what she did for interviews. She was one of the best that I ever saw. Yeah. So
Yeah.
R.I.P.
RIP to her. Dang. Legends die right before New Year's, man.
Yeah, happens all the time, man.
But real quick before we start transitioning again, so Derek Carr, he's sitting down.
I hear he's a quarterback.
Yeah. And as I've said on here before, I'm not a big Derek Carr fan. But I did see some headlines pitching around possibility of what do you do from here? They're obviously they have their backup that's going to be playing or whatever. And I've seen possibility of Brady moving on and what that would do for the team. I hate whenever this happens because we always go for the long shot of, these great quarterbacks that,
Send Brady there. They're going to suck balls.
Well, they were arguing, the weapons. There's, they're a little bit younger. They're not the...
I've seen Brady play this year. He sucks.
He's played bad. Someone asked, why would he come? And I told them the joke about how someone said that she was going to take half of his rings, so he's trying to get more Super Bowl rings, which I thought was fucking funny when I heard it.
That's fucking hilarious. I didn't hear that one.
But I was like, honestly, he probably figured, fuck it. Wife's getting ready to leave me anyways. I might as well fucking play. She asked me not to play no more. And
Yeah. Okay, so I can't save my marriage? Fuck it. I'm going to keep doing what I love.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's all of it. I'm not even saying it's any of it. It could be. It couldn't be. I mean, there's a lot of things going off the field.
Just makes sense.
Yeah. And if not, it's a good excuse. If it's just legitimate he's playing bad, you know what? I'm going through divorce, guys. Cut me some fucking slack. Let me.
That's true.
So, if he went, could that help out the Raiders?
No.
I'm going to say, yeah, it definitely could. It's a big upgrade.
I disagree.
But here's
I'm
another.
going to tell you why.
Okay.
Derek Carr, middle of the road starting quarterback, right?
Uh-huh.
He's probably ranked 15 to 20, something like that.
Yeah.
Brady has not even been that.
Okay. I mean, I'm not, caping for Brady to go there.
I'm taking Brady
I will
25-ish.
But I will say, because we talked about this last time, I think it was last time, when we were like, do you keep Aaron Rodgers or do you keep Love? And I feel like this could be the trade that Green Bay needs
Yes.
to do that. Because honestly, I don't think Brady's going to leave the Buccaneers either. He's going to retire or he's going to stay there. But a better
Hold on.
possibility,
Hold
I
on.
could see Green Bay doing this.
I'm going to tell you where he might fit.
Where's that?
Team that he wanted to go to. Miami.
Who's that?
Miami.
Who are you talking about?
Brady.
Oh, okay.
Because look at this. Tua with those concussions.
Yeah.
I would hold him out.
Yeah.
I'd hold him out the rest of the season.
Yeah.
See if he can get his head right for next season.
Okay.
But if I could trade for Brady,
Yeah.
I tell Tua, look, we need to hold you out a year. we want you at your best.
Yeah.
I get Brady in there, see what he does, and if Brady
God
starts
damn.
sucking, then I say, Tua, you good? All right, we're ready.
You know that would piss me off? To
But-
have Brady is like... Because Tua's fucking balling this year.
He was, but legitimately, these concussions,
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, for a player that's unknown, we didn't really know what to expect of him. And he played very well this year.
yeah.
And then you say, okay, we're going to come get Brady. And many people would argue Brady is the greatest of all time to play play that position, right?
Yeah.
And you mean to tell me you fucking draft or you trade for him, he comes to your team. Now, not only do you have arguably one of the best quarterbacks to ever played the game, then you have a guy that is on the up and come up, young, very ambitious, plays at a very elite level. That very well, I'm not saying he's top 5 yet, but let's give him 2 years. We'll be saying like 2 is a top 5 quarterback that you want to have in your fantasy or
Look,
wherever.
In the summer, Hill was talking about Tua being just as good as Mahomes,
Yeah.
even more accurate, and
Yeah.
we kind of all laughed it off.
Yeah.
And then when they were playing together, we're like, oh shit, maybe he ain't wrong.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
so exactly to what your point is.
Yeah.
Now, but can't you see how Brady over there
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense?
Yeah.
More so than in Vegas, because Vegas has one good receiver.
Yeah.
Granted, some people think he's the best,
Yeah.
but people will say the same thing about Hill, right?
Yeah.
So, to what you're saying, though,
Yeah.
in Vegas,
Yeah.
I could easily see Green Bay sending,
Right.
what's his name out
Rodgers?
there? Rodgers
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
That would make a ton of sense
Yeah.
for both of those teams.
Yeah.
Now, wherever Carr ends up,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, he can be anywhere because he is starter quality, right?
Yeah.
And so those teams who don't have that and don't have a high draft pick,
Question. Yeah. Questioning players. Yeah.
you get them.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's a lot to float out there.
Yeah. But it did make me think, like, you know what? You sit Carr down. This could be a great opportunity to say, like, you know what, Rodgers, you wanted to trade. I'm going to trade you over here. I was like, even what if they pull off the Rams trade? What if they say, like, look, you send us Carr, we'll send you Rodgers, and then we'll just be fair is fair. I don't think it will go that way. But if it did, like, you know, it's a win-win for both teams, honestly.
I mean,
Because-
you look at it, you get an old guy
Yep.
who might still have a little bit left,
Yep.
and we get someone in case Love don't work out.
Yep.
And
At very least, it makes him fight for it because again,
Yeah.
you right now he's fighting against a veteran that has the name that brought a Super Bowl there. But you bring in another guy that is still young, hungry, still trying to prove that he has what it takes to get to a Super Bowl. Guess what? Now you guys are fighting for a position
he's
at
a true veteran, and
Yeah.
you know he's been around the league long enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a very interesting thing. Now, Denver fired their head coach.
yeah.
I think is legit. I think he deserved to get fired. One of the things that you and I were talking about off air was that people forget when he was coaching the offense of Green Bay these last 2 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Rodgers took to him right away.
Yeah.
Rodgers was bad for the first half of that first year with him.
Right.
He was not doing well. Then he got rolling. Then everything started clicking.
Yeah.
And then he won the MVP, improbable. And the second one, improbable again. But he got those. I think reputation carried into that and shit like that, right?
Right.
But the first half of that, he
Yeah.
sucked. Well, Derek Carr, you haven't done him any favors as the head coach. You
You
haven't
mean
put
Russell?
him. I mean Russell.
Yeah.
That's
I know
it.
we were talking
Yeah.
about.
But you haven't done him any favors. You haven't put him in a good position.
Yeah.
I mean, both those coaches have put Carr and Russell in bad positions.
Yeah.
So for me to think that they're worth the shit,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. I don't think that either of those coaches deserve to keep their job. I don't think the Vegas coach deserves to keep his job. I think he sucks. I think that the coach in Denver sucked.
Yeah.
And I think that both of those guys are the reasons their quarterbacks didn't do as well as they typically do.
Right.
Because you can look at those quarterbacks and say they've had a lot of success in the NFL.
Yeah.
I can look at Carr and also say that he's had seasons where he sucked.
Yeah.
But I can look at the circumstances and know it was a different OC. He was trying to learn that coach, that system, whatever. They weren't favorable to his skills. But those coaches, I don't have a long history of seeing them succeed.
Yeah.
I have a history of seeing them not succeed.
Yeah.
Both those guys.
So where we are with Denver, like potential coaches, we kicked a few of them around off air.
Bieniemy,
Yeah.
Flores.
Yeah.
I think both of those two are great. And obviously you have, what's his name? Sean Payton.
Peyton. Yep.
So I think between those three guys, now they probably won't want to go with Flores because he's more of a defensive coach, right?
Yeah.
But
I think that's what they fucking need, honestly.
look, well, they have a good defense. They have a great defense. But this is what I would. Okay, hear me out, right?
Okay.
If I'm Denver, I interview both Bieniemy
Yeah.
and Flores as head coaches, right?
Okay.
I hire Flores as my head coach, and then I overpay Bieniemy as my OC
Okay.
because I have now the best OC in football. Now, the thing is, you can't interview him for the OC because he's an OC already.
Right.
But if you interview him for the head coach and then offer him the OC,
Okay. Okay. I see what you're doing.
then you have a hell of a coach in Flores. Because I think Flores, with the good job that he did in Miami,
Yeah.
a lot of it was just his leadership. I think he's a great fucking leader.
Definitely.
So that's why I want him as my head coach.
Yeah.
And the big question with Bieniemy is always he don't interview well, shit like that, right? So fuck it.
So you do interview him as the head coach, knowing that he doesn't do well, but you know what he has to bring as an OC.
Exactly.
Okay. I see
So
what you're saying.
that's the route I go. If I don't get Sean Payton, I do this, and I actually think I like this better. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to pay a little bit to both of them, but
Yeah.
I know for a fact I got the best fucking OC in football,
Yeah.
and I got the best fucking head coach that I could have gotten with Flores. With what
Especially-
the fuck he did in Miami?
Especially when you're talking about, I don't want a rookie coach that doesn't really have any experience. I want somebody that knows what they're doing, been around a little bit, knows a little bit about the sport. So, yeah, that's a very good argument. What we were saying off the air, if Sean Payton does go, fucking fear the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
This scenario you just painted, fear the fucking Broncos.
Yeah. Especially, look, that's the same fucking division as Kansas City.
Yeah. And I even said, even if Bieniemy goes there, fear the fucking Broncos.
Yeah.
Granted, we know there's other coaches they could go and grab and whatever the case is. And by all means, if that's the way it goes, it goes. But if we're not putting money in as a barrier in this situation.
No.
Well, we're just looking at this as like who is available, who you could potentially have come and change the whole atmosphere. The thing about Sean Payton, the reason why you fear him is because he's going to change the whole atmosphere of the whole locker room. He's going to get the respect of his players and do what he needs to. Bieniemy, he's been fucking killing it for Kansas City for how long now?
That's the same division.
Yeah.
You at very least steal away a big asset for them.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know what? That's going to make it hard to have somebody come over and do what you did.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that's fucking awesome. And, you know, it's funny because we spitball this right now.
Yeah.
I didn't even put thought to that.
Yeah.
I thought Flores, I thought Bieniemy, but I didn't
Yeah,
even
put them as a duo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the fandom of the people that like wanted a black ownership.
Oh, well, that's what I was
yeah.
going to say, though. It's even greater because now you got not only the black head coach, but
Yeah.
the black OC.
Yeah.
So the two most powerful positions for the staff.
With a minority owner in the team, too. Like, all those people that are all for this, like, you know how many more fans you're going to get that are going to be uber try liberal and be a part of this whole so-called movement and all that.
Oh, man,
fucking,
it's awesome.
You fucking make a killing as an organization with it. But also, again...
But it's the right move.
It is a good, very good move. Again, you're welcome, Broncos, if you guys used to do this. We just would settle for some season tickets. I know we're not in Colorado. We probably won't go.
Make a trip every other weekend.
But if it's free, yeah, we'll go.
Yeah, you go one weekend, I go the next.
Somehow those tickets will be used. I can promise you that.
I tell you what, we had some family that would be like, hell, I'll take a trip to Kansas City or to Denver.
Yeah.
The trip ain't that bad.
I mean,
it's about the same drive as St. Louis.
I mean, nosebleed tickets, we're okay with this. If you're going to give a season pass tickets.
They're free, man.
But with that said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Champs Podcast. Please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
Hey, hold on, Jay, stop bringing us down with so many damn deaths.
And if you want to follow us, you can follow Coach Rudy on Twitter at
Rudy V1982.
You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, wherever at SleepyJ, SLEEP_E_J. And until next time, guys, take it easy.
Peace.